Step into the Oracle Parlor, a podcast where those interested in witchcraft, psychic abilities, ghosts, and all things paranormal come to sip and spill the magical tea. This parlor is a space to grow by maintaining our curiosity over fear when it comes to the spooky and the paranormal. I'm your host, Jenny, otherwise known as Phantasma Witch. I'm a previous visual storytelling artist from animation, now full-time psychic witch, who is getting her MA in psychology to become a licensed therapist. Every other episode, I will share my paranormal experiences, different witchy experiences on a variety of topics, while other episodes, I will be talking with witchy guests of all backgrounds, from writers to artists to well-known social media witches, so we can learn about their practices and how they grew into their personal power. So get cozy and grab your tea. It's time to get mystical. Hello and welcome back, my magical mystical friends, to the Oracle Parlor podcast, the month ahead episode for July 2026. Make sure that you have something to take notes as we are about to get into it, my friends, with this month. There is a lot to talk about, as always, and we're going to start this time with kind of like what we did before, where we're going to talk about what I sensed energetically, what I was psychically kind of picking up on, and then we'll move to the cards. Now, I haven't even looked at the cards for myself yet, so this will be really interesting. Of course, if you are interested to know what decks I am using for this reading, they are always included in the description of this episode. So, let's get into it. So the first thing that I really picked up on when I was tapping into the July 2026 energy was this sense of entering the month with this kind of energy that really reminded me of it was like somebody toting a flag and riding a horse and coming in with this grandiose energy. Now, this doesn't mean that it's us. It could mean that it's somebody else that's coming into our lives or that we're engaging with that has this energy. It could be us. But either way, it's this kind of feeling of like being here, being in charge, being the one that's being seen, because the other thing I got was kind of like a flickering neon sign, which is very much like an eye catcher. It's very much in your face. So we're starting off this month kind of loud, kind of in your face, kind of like, here they are, here's what's going to be said, here's, who we're looking at. Again, this could be either we're moving into that position or somebody in our lives, someone we're engaging with, is in that kind of position. So, we're starting bold, we're starting energized, we're starting with this look at me kind of vibe. But the thing about these things, with both these images, neither of them felt super, super strong or super confident. So if you find that you are the person on the horse, if you find that you are that flickering neon sign, or that maybe you're dealing with someone or a situation that tends to have that kind of energy, the thing is that it's not actually all that confident. There isn't really a whole lot of gusto behind it. So it can come across as very like powerful, but in reality, there is almost like this flicker of self-doubt and uncertainty that's actually being hidden by this loud, bright in your face kind of bold energy. It's almost like a facade. It's almost like it's not actually what it really is. The next thing that I got was a lot of feelings of going from that into kind of like feelings of being cut off or isolated because um, the next thing I had seen was this big wall of ice that was dividing where I was between whatever this other area was. And it reminded me of Game of Thrones. The wall in the north, if anybody here has seen Game of Thrones, it just reminded me of that. And the other thing that I saw was a person lost in a field at night, like almost like a corn maze. Like it was too high for them to see over. Plus, it was at night, so they couldn't really see. Um, and it was really difficult to navigate. So, we start off with this bold energy, but we move into this kind of isolated feeling, this kind of lost in communication is really what I was getting with this. Um, what started off one way is no longer what it is anymore, is really the vibe behind this. So moving beyond the first few days to the first week of the month, we move into this kind of like, oh, I had thought I was doing one thing, and now I'm realizing it's not exactly what I thought it was. And now I'm kind of going within, I'm kind of feeling a little into myself. I don't want to say shutting down because it's definitely not that intense of a shutdown, but it is kind of going into what I would like to call hermit mode. It's really kind of like isolating oneself in a way that's just feeling really disconnected. And, you know, a lot of this feeling comes from waiting for the call is what I got. So it's, we were in this situation where everything was kind of bolden in our face, whether that was us or the situation. And then things kind of cooled down because it wasn't really what we thought it was. And so it kind of led us into this waiting moment of isolation where one of the visuals I got was somebody waiting for their phone to buzz. Like they were eagerly waiting for that phone to go off. And then the other thing that I got, and you'll have to forgive me because I am very much somebody who used to come from, if anybody who doesn't know this, I used to come from TV entertainment. And I'm used to be an artist within that field. So a lot of the things that I receive tend to be very much symbolic visual storytelling and TV shows, hence Game of Thrones, and hence this. The next thing I got was incoming transmission from the big giant head. And for anybody who doesn't know, that's Third Rock from the Sun. So not only had I seen this person kind of waiting for a phone call, but then I also got this um, clip from that show. And for anyone who doesn't know, essentially what happens in the show is it's aliens who are pretending to be humans on Earth, and one of them can receive transmissions from the big giant head, which is like the ruler of this alien civilization, and can receive like a phone call in their head. And so they stop everything they're doing and they'll say this line and then they'll like speak as if they're the big giant head that's communicating psychically. So it's this idea that we're waiting on a phone call, we're waiting on communication, we're waiting on the go-ahead from someone. That doesn't mean that that someone is someone in power specifically. It can be someone who has maybe some sort of like authority in your life. But more importantly, this is about that kind of expectation of having the conversation, of wanting to be able to speak, but feeling like that iced out, kind of cut off again, isolation, and waiting for it to happen. The thing is, when that communication is finally had and the connection is finally made, it can, and this is like we're at this point, the later end of the month, waiting on that communication and kind of being in isolation is like mid-month. So as we're like nearing the end of the middle of the month to the last half of the month, um, when the communication is finally had, it's not really the kind of communication we were expecting. That's not like what I got. It wasn't like, oh, good. Actually, what I got was I felt like I was being analyzed. I felt like I was being scrutinized. I felt like someone was nitpicking or really like the visual that I got was it was as if I was from the perspective of a petri dish in a microscope. Like this other big person was like looking down at me and really getting close and really like taking a good long hard look at me. And it wasn't comfortable. Um, The other thing that I got was a one-sided game of tug of war, which is um, a lot of frustration of feeling like putting in all this energy only to meet an immovable object. Like you're trying your best, you're doing your best to be like, all right, here we are. I'm pulling the rope, and then on the other side, it's a brick wall or it's a tiger. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos online of um, there's a zoo that has like a tiger or a lioness who's holding one end of a tug of war rope, and then all these like really beefy people who are like really built and look super strong, and there's like 20 people pulling on the rope, and that tiger or that lioness is like not even budging, not even struggling, while the humans are just like turning bright red and sweating. That was the visual I got. So it's this feeling of once that communication happens, it's almost like something bigger than us, something stronger than us, but not really. It's not like they actually have any power over us. It's just the feeling that they're playing this in a way that makes us feel like they're not budging, they're not going to meet us halfway. This is not equal at all. There is a dynamic here that feels really unbalanced. So that's the thing is once the communication is had, once things actually do come through at the end of the month, it's unbalanced. It is way more of a you're doing all the talking, they're doing none of the talking, or not listening, or icing you out, or you're trying to convince them of something and they're not willing to listen. So I really want to emphasize that when it comes to the end of the month, really asking yourself, in regards to this game of tug of war, which are you in the game of tug of war? Because that's what's really important about whenever I do these readings and I'm talking about, oh, we're waiting on the communication to happen. This could be that we are either the person waiting for the phone call or we're the person who's not actually following through and giving the phone call. And this is metaphorical, not literal phone calls, but it could be like, let's say, you need to make a decision about a signing a contract and you just have not followed through yet. Or you have a group project that you have to do and you just haven't responded to the emails, things of that nature. Or even, you need to make the doctor's appointment, but you haven't made the doctor's appointment yet because you've been avoiding it. Or you've tried calling the doctor's office and they just are not getting back to you, and the soonest they have is like 6 months out. Not speaking from experience or anything. But you get the idea. This is what I'm talking about when I am giving any of these kind of month ahead readings, is always use your discernment. Always ask yourself, okay, where am I within this kind of symbolic imagery and within this conversation? Are you the immovable tiger or are you trying to strong arm on the other end? And what does that mean for you in your personal life? Should you be the tiger? Should you be the immovable object that says, no, I'm not going to give in to this? Should you be the person that says, hey, come over here, let's do this thing. I'm going to pull you in this direction. But also, more importantly, why? Why are you, if you find yourself in this situation, why are you putting your energy into it either way? These are all the questions you want to be asking yourself during this time of the month. Is it worth my energy? Is this something that this communication, this conversation, this whatever it is that's happening or not happening, is it worth my time or energy to stress about it, to worry about it, to try to force it to happen, to try to plant my feet in the ground, whatever direction that ends up going for you? Sitting with that and being aware of that, bringing awareness to that. At the very end of the month, after all that is said and done, we are left to feeling, to being much more wiser, but also much more tired. And this is an invitation to sit back and let it go and try to rest. So The reason why I'm saying this is because the visual that I got was this elderly person sitting on their front porch during sundown, during like a warm, like summer day, warm summer, hot summer day. Um, And so it's this feeling of, okay, this month we're going to be leaving it feeling like we really learned a lot. We really have a lot of new insights for better or worse. It could be that, yeah, maybe you did need to plant your feet in that moment and you did need to say, no, I'm not, giving up on my core values or ethics in this way, and this is where I stand. And you learned something about that other person that maybe you didn't know about, or that other group or job or whatever it is that you had that communication with. And you're like, oh, now I know how this person thinks or feels, better for better or worse. And this is where I stand. But I need to now sit down and take a break and kind of reflect on everything. So that's what you're being invited into at the end of the month, is to sit down, reflect, take a look back on what new insights you have gained by the end of the month. How have you gotten wiser? So these are like some things you definitely want to ask yourself as you approach the end of the month. How have you gotten wiser? What new insights did you gain from this month? What roles did you play this month? And do you still feel aligned with them? Um, so, with all that having been said, let's go ahead and take a look at the tarot card, the Major Arcana tarot cards, as well as the Oracle cards. Now, again, I have not looked at either of these. I've just pulled them and set them off to the side. So, let's go ahead and get started with the Major Arcana. We have the World card and we have the Emperor. The reason why I'm laughing is because, and here are those cards. The reason why I'm laughing is because the Emperor card, I feel like, is just such the epitome of what we were just talking about with that kind of like being scrutinized, being analyzed, the immovable object and the tug of war. This is really what that feels like. And then this feels like the beginning of the month, the world with, toting that flag, being confident. Um, but also the world is about this kind of like culmination of things, which I also feel like really reflects the end of the month and what we were talking about of this kind of like elders sitting on the porch. It's the end of the day. It's a hot summer day, so they're relaxing after a long day. And the world is all about that accumulation of like, oh, I've learned a lot. Things have come back around. I'm seeing the bigger picture. I have all this information because of everything that I went through, all these tools that I have gathered throughout the month. So these two cards really feel like um, this emphasis about things that we've already talked about. This is why I love pulling the cards after I do these energy readings, is because they always seem to reflect the things that I psychicked energetically. And they're just really emphasizing these really important parts of this reading that, there's gonna be that immovable power object or person or communication. And there's gonna be that need to like really reflect and gather all your thoughts and come to this accumulated like insight, right? And then lastly, we have these two oracle cards, which we have drama and speculation. Drama is Mercury Leo, and speculation is Jupiter Cancer. So, which is funny because we are entering Cancer in July. So, uh, and then Leo afterwards. So essentially, with these two cards, along with the reading that we've already done, it's emphasizing again that idea of, and again, I find it so funny that we're talking about lions and tigers, and here we have one on the card. Um, if you are the immovable object, is it creating drama for better or worse? If you're engaging with someone who is the immovable object, the lion, is it for better or worse? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the drama? Is it worth that energy? Is it worth the fierceness of whatever direction that's going? It's going to be a major question that you're going to have to ask yourself this month. If you sit down And you're noticing that this is starting to happen where you were waiting for communications, you were waiting for things to kick off, and then when they do kick off, it starts off in this way. Taking a breath and pausing and saying, okay, things are starting to get riled up. What role do I want to have in this? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my energy? Is it worth getting riled up about and pouring all this into it? Or can I say, you know what, to this situation, you know what? Here is where I stand. Here is what I need to be done. And if we can't meet halfway and be at an equal area on this, I need to kind of step away from this, or I need time to think about it or reflect on it, because that's where that speculation comes in, is being able to use your discernment, which we talked about earlier. So it's really funny because I feel like the cards are covering different aspects, different areas of the month that we already talked about, with the beginning and the middle. So speculation is also saying be careful not to get caught up in when you're in that moment of feeling kind of isolated and kind of waiting for whatever it is to come through and waiting for that communication. Don't overthink it, because when I was tapping in energetically and I was seeing this person kind of waiting by their phone, waiting for it to go off, there was this kind of like nervous energy about it. And it's funny now that I'm saying that, I realize that the character from Third Rock from the Sun who receives the transmissions, they're also very like hyperactive, nervous energy. So it's very important during that time when you're waiting uh, and feeling kind of like, again, this kind of closed off and kind of hermit area of your months, to really not overthink it and over speculate like, oh man, did I say something wrong? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? And it's actually funny because I had written something down that I thought was just me. So this happens when I am tapping in psychically and energetically reading. Sometimes if I receive something that I'm not exactly sure if it's just me or if I'm actually perceiving something, I'll kind of like mark it off as like, I think this may have just been me. I wrote down the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and then I crossed it off. I'll show you here. The shoulda, woulda, couldas is crossed off there because I wasn't sure if that was just me. But now that I'm talking about it, yeah, that's where that speculation comes in. That's where that overthinking comes in of like, oh, maybe I should have said this. Maybe I could have done that. Maybe it's not the moment to get caught up in that. It's so easy to get invited into the overthinking, especially because the speculation card also is the card of Cancer. So it can be really emotional. Your emotions can get really wrapped up in it. And so we want to make sure that when we are approaching this month, we are doing so from a place where we have been able to catch our breath, where we've actually been able to sit and reflect, and that we can sit in that stillness, in that pause, in that moment of isolation and feeling kind of cut off, that we can go, oh, okay, things are really still right now and nothing is moving, and that's okay. I'm going to be here with it. I'm going to feel the feelings that I'm having right now, even if I feel disconnected from myself or from others, because that's a lot of the feelings that I was getting with that visual of that person kind of waiting for something to come through. And the feeling of that person lost in the field is this sense of really being disconnected. Like it felt very much like the only way I can describe it is like if you've ever been in a big house by yourself or a big room by yourself or out in nature in a big area of nature all by yourself. It's very it can feel very weird because it's like there's no sound, it's very quiet, or very little sound, and you can feel kind of like the only person on earth in that brief little moment. Even if you're in a big house, it feels almost a little weird. That's what that felt like to me. So just allowing yourself to be like, this is a little weird, it's a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. So, my friends, again, make sure that you have your notes, have this episode saved. Definitely make sure to go back through this episode in your notes at the end of July and see what resonated with you, see what didn't resonate with you, and compare and contrast what came up and how this played out for you and what roles and dynamics you were in during the month of July. And I'm wishing you all the best with this month. Don't forget that if you would like more content, you can join me over on Patreon. I will see you all in the next Oracle Parlor episode. Thank you all for your support. Please don't forget to share the episode. It really helps, as well as rating it. Thank you all again. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me in the parlor for this episode. If you want more psychic magical tips, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Phantasma Witch. Phantasmawitch. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, where I have a Discord community. I do Q&As, live classes, workshops, and more. To book a reading or consultation directly with me, you can go to my website, www.phantasmawitch.com. All of these links can be found in the episode description. And please, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you go leave a rating, leave a review, share it with others. It really helps the show to reach new listeners if you take a moment to do that, and it is sincerely appreciated. Shout out to the artist Cat Lines, who helped me to redesign the podcast logo to the beautiful magical teacup you see today. See you, mystical friends, in the parlor next time.